Good afternoon. What's happening? Welcome to the This Is True podcast on Facebook and YouTube. I'm your brother in Christ and I'm true. As you can see, the topic today is still Psalm 2. And and the question is, why you mad, man? And so, I'm asking that question because the world is filled with people who, for one reason or another, seem to be really, 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 really angry and ticked off with the way things are going. And so, excuse me. So the problem is that what we're trying to do is we're trying to figure this out. Everybody wants answers, right? Everybody wants an answer and they want it to make sense. And the problem is that your best solutions are the problem. See, you gotta trust God. And what most people don't do is they don't trust God, they trust their own thinking. And this is why it's important to understand um, how it's important to understand who you are in God and that you don't need anything else. And you got to keep in mind that your maker knows everything about you and his plan is for what's best for you and for your family and your loved ones. And sometimes it's really comes down to what it really comes down to is what you think you know. Is it really true? And how do you deal with the things that are and things that are not? And most of us are not willing to be honest with ourselves in the sense that we're willing to change our belief system if it doesn't match up with the Bible. And so we manipulate the scriptures, we manipulate people, we we do everything we can to try to force people to fit in with the narrative that's ours. It's our narrative. It's my story. And so we want our story to be believed, but we don't really want to do the things it takes to be trustworthy. The reason I came on now is I'm just watching some things on YouTube because I watch a lot of content. And I kind of make my mind up. Do I just want to be me? Or do I want to be like a lot of these other content creators? Get on here. And I noticed some of the titles they put out there, it's always something negative because people love negativity. And Sir Walter Jones, a guy I follow a lot, and I suggest you guys look him up, Sir Walter Jones Show. Um, he made a point one time. He has to do some of these topics because people are just not interested in the word. And what I'm talking about is the word. And I had to make a decision. Do I want to do a topic driven format to try to get more followers, to try to get more clicks and more likes and become more seen and more known? Whether it's here on Facebook or on here on YouTube, I have to make a decision. What's the most important thing? Well, the most important thing is that somebody somewhere is going to be scrolling through YouTube and maybe stumble upon my channel. Someone on Facebook may see my channel and see my post and they'll listen and something I'll say will change their life. I have to choose what's more important. Do I want the algorithm to click in and to kick in so that I can become monetized and be supported by the listeners? Absolutely. I'm not going to lie. It would be great if I could make my living teaching this word. And then I don't have to worry about where my food's going to come from, what this is going to be. And don't think for 1 minute that it's going to change being subsidized and monetized and all these things that's going to change the message. It's not. I'm not in it for the money. I'm in it for the service. I'm in it to serve people. This is about you. It's not about me. God will take care of me. One way or the other, God's going to take care of me. So I've been trying for a year and a half. I've been trying for a year now, over a year, to try to get this podcast up and running. I went and spent a lot of money last year to get on with the Lightcast. I recommend Lightcast, by the way, but I wasn't mentally ready to develop these 4 TV apps, to have these 3 channels on these 4 TV apps. And I wasn't ready for it. And now here it is that they're developed, and I'm still not ready. But what I am ready for is to bring this message. I have to decide where I want to go and what I want to do. There's so many ideas and things that are in my head that I want to do, but it's going to require that I do a lot more preparation, a lot more work. And right now I'm taking biblical Hebrew. I'm on level B now, the second level 2. And I'm learning so much about the language and the grammar and how the language works and the culture and what the words mean. And so when I'm looking at the Old Testament, I'm looking at it from a fresh perspective. So when I'm quoting Psalm 2, I'm going to ask that question again. Why are you mad? What are you upset about? What's your agenda? Why is God's agenda upsetting yours? There's things God will not do. God is not going to kill your enemies because, they roll their eyes when you were talking. God's not going to kill your enemies because they don't like you and they make you feel bad. This is just not how that works. That's witchcraft. And there's a lot of teachings in what we call deliverance ministry. It's bad doctrine. It's false doctrine. It's wrong teachings. And the people that follow that stuff are people that need deliverance and healing themselves, but they can't get it because they have a form of psychosis. They're psychotic. They need mental health. They need a mental health intervention. And so people come to church and they manifest, and you see people come to church and they're speaking in tongues, they're falling on the altar, they're kicking and screaming and jumping up and down. All this stuff is a person having a spiritual experience, but we don't have the discernment to be able to decide or to determine whether that's the Spirit of God or if it's the adversary. And because they give good money, some people they're great supporters of the ministry, they're great supporters of the church, and they do a lot of good stuff for the church. We give them positions of power. And so when you go to church and you're in church with these people that are somewhat chaotic, somewhat demonic. They got some issues. They need deliverance themselves. They're mean. They're backstabbing. They're conniving. They'll do. It's like being in high school. They'll betray you because they can, and all they really want is that platform so they can talk about other people and not deal with their own stuff. And 99.9% of the messages you're hearing, you will hear in church in American Christianity, at least. I think it's all over the world. When I watch all the stuff, you see their exhortation. You're going to get something that God's going to magically give you something that you didn't do any work for. God's going to magically bless you and give you this money or this house or this husband or this whatever this stuff. God's going to give you this stuff that you don't even qualify for because you don't trust Him and you don't believe Him. 2, you're not willing to make the sacrifice it takes to get it or to maintain it once you get it. Because God knows your heart. He knows how you think. He knows you. And not only does God know you, Yahweh, He knows your heart, but Hasatan, the Satans, they know you too. So they know what all they got to do is put a thought in your head and get you to go against people. What they know is all they got to do is put a thought in your head to get you to rebel against God by doing things to people. They really probably aren't really doing that much to you. The war you have with your friends and family, your church members, your uncles, aunts, nieces, nephews, cousins, husbands, boyfriends, wives, ex-wives, babies, daddies, babies, mamas, all this war, all this stuff is going on is your own belief system, the things you think and believe. And the things you think and believe are crazy, but you're not willing to change it. You want the world to change for you. I've been there. I did it for 35, almost 40 years. 35 years. And it's taken me 5 years to get here. 5 years ago, I made the decision to change. But it took me 5 years to get here. And this where I am right now today is nothing. It's nothing. I'm still in first grade. If I'm in first grade. You see what I'm saying? I'm still at an elementary level in my knowledge, what I'm learning about God. And so what I have to come to understand is that all this stuff that's happening within me, inside of me, all this frustration I'm having comes from me not being able to control something I shouldn't even want to. And it's the same thing that's going on in your own life. Your best decisions got you here. Now you have to live with the consequences of those decisions, but you don't have to stay the same. You can change some things, tweak some things, do some things differently, and do some things to make your life better. So I want to just really get really quick, just because sometimes I feel convicted because I don't read the word when I'm on here, because I quote it pretty well and I know it well enough to be able to quote it. But I'm going to read it to you, Psalm 2, and this is from the Complete Jewish Bible. I decided to go a different way. Usually I pull up one of the Tanakhs I have. I have like 5 or 6 Tanakhs. That's Hebrew Old Testaments. And so, but I want to pull it up today from the Complete Jewish Bible. You can find it online at Bible Gateway, and I think U version. So here's what it says: Why are the nations in an uproar and the peoples grumbling in vain? The earth's kings are taking positions, leaders conspiring together against Yahweh and His anointed, or Mashiach. Mashiach, 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 Lu. That's what it is in Hebrew. Again, I saw it on the Tanakh. It's his Messiah, right? And so this is the thing. This is the thing that's so upset. The earth, the world, the media, everything is against the Most High. Everybody's against him, and they're against his Messiah. And you have all these people on all these platforms teaching the word or preaching the word that they think is the word of God, and it's off. It's off. Some of them are just a little off, but most of them are way off. Especially if you're using the Western Christian worldview and you're teaching a Western Christian doctrine, because that started in around the 1600s, and it was full of white supremacy. Our doctrine on the rapture and the second coming of Jesus Christ and Revelation is all based on white supremacy. So almost everything we believe in eschatology is formed around that. I'm going to say that again. Everything that we believe in this postmodern Christian era is influenced by Western European white supremacy. But we can't be mad at the Europeans, because the Greeks did the same thing and the Romans before them. So how do we remedy this? Well, you got to go back to the Hebrew roots. The Bible was written, all of the Bible from cover to cover was written by Hebrew people about their God. Written by Hebrew people to Hebrew people about their God. Every writer in the Bible was Hebrew, including Luke. I know the common thing is that because Luke was a doctor, he had to be a Greek. There's nothing that says that. It's an assumption. Because Luke was he was fluent in Greek, because he translated Hebrew from Hebrew into Greek, and he wrote the book of Luke and Acts, and we know that that's written in Greek. But what we don't know is the book of Luke was first written in Hebrew. There's a Hebrew copy of the book of Luke in the Vatican. It's kind of hard there have been some people who've been trying to translate it, but there's been a lot of difficulties translating it into English, because there's a lot of stuff going on in that work. I'm not getting into that. My point really is this: there were people who took over this faith that we call it Christianity, but it was called the Way in the beginning. They never called themselves Christians. They called themselves the Way. And why do they call themselves the Way? Because Yeshua said, "I am the way, the truth, and the life." So what does that mean? What are you talking about, man? We all heard that before, and I'm preaching the word, and you're teaching a doctrine that's been taught to you. You've been indoctrinated, but not discipled. You've been teaching a doctrine that's been taught to you that's flawed from this in the beginning. Protestantism is flawed from its beginning. Luther didn't believe that James or Revelation should be in the Bible. Calvin, there's some things about Calvin that I really don't want to get into. And what I'm trying to say to you is this: the Messiah, all he wants you to do is to do the right thing. All he wants you to do is to do the right thing. All he wants you to do is to submit to God and do God's will. You understand? So, because that's what he did. He came in as a willing servant and he gave his life so that you could have the right to the tree of life. The third verse says this is the plan. Let us break their fetters and throw off their chains. This is you have to understand the divine counsel worldview in order to understand this. And okay, I'm going to talk about it. The divine counsel worldview. I want to explain to you what that is. The divine counsel comes from the Bereshit, Genesis chapter 1, when Yahweh said, "Let us make man in our image and after our likeness." Well, who was he talking to? He wouldn't have needed to say that to the Godhead, the Father, Son, Holy Spirit. He wouldn't have needed to do that. They would have already known it. But who he's talking to was the divine counsel. So this divine counsel, because God shares his authority, he shares his kingdom. This is how you know when you're in the right kind of church, when they share the pulpit, when they share the power, when they share the teaching, when they share. When they hoard it to themselves, that's of the devil. I said it. You shouldn't support a ministry that doesn't support you. If it's all about Pastor Pookie, then it's not about you. If it's all about Bishop Boo Boo, then it's not about you. If everything you do only benefits him, you're in the wrong church. You need to run. Run, Forrest, run. The rabbit's got the gun. He might not get you. He might get your wife, but he's showing up after your son. I'm just telling you. The evil ones, the Satans, are after you and your family, and they want to keep you from serving the Most High. Because this is the thing: if the believers of the Bible, if the people that say they believe the Bible actually did the works in the Bible, the world wouldn't have a complaint to this day. You want to know why the miracles in the Bible don't happen today? Not because God stopped it with the apostles, because that's not true. Those miracles continue to happen well into the late first century and in the early second century, and then almost to the end of the second century. They continued to happen. People kept being raised from the dead. People kept being healed. Blind kept receiving their sight. Deaf people began to hear. Leprosy and all kinds of diseases were healed. All kinds of miracles were happening, and that's why they were a threat to the Sanhedrin until they were destroyed in 70 AD. And then it was a threat to the Romans. They were a threat to the Romans because they no longer bought the meat sacrificed in the market, meat in the markets that was sacrificed to idols. They brought their own meat. That's what the Romans hated about the Jews. The Jews wouldn't buy that meat sacrificed to idols. And the early church was heavily Hebrew. They were Yehudim. Yehudim, that's the Hebrew word for Jewish. The sons of Judah, Yehudim. So what does that mean? What does that mean? Well, it means that they lived a life that was so distinct that the world saw the way they were living and how they lived in their community, how much they loved each other, how much they supported each other and stood by each other and helped each other. They became curious and they wanted to join. That's how the church grew. The church grew because there was a world outside like the world we have today, where people were suffering and hurting and they were looking for an answer. And the people in the way, they had a way of life they were living in their own communities. There was no hunger. There was no homelessness. Man, I got to do this. I got to do this. Okay, man, I got to do this. This is what I'm going to tell you the truth. Listen to me. When Yeshua says, "I was hungry and you fed me. I was thirsty. You gave me something to drink." He's talking about the people in the world that would have come to the people of the light, to the way, people in the light, the way. And he said, "Hey, when they come to you, feed them. When your enemy's hungry, feed him." The way you treat other people is how you're going to be evaluated and judged. So in the first century church, they didn't have hungry people in the church because everybody got food. The rich took all their money instead of hoarding it to themselves and exploiting the poor. They took that money and they put it they brought it to the apostles, they brought it to the leaders, to the bishops, and they said, divide this up. I want to help the people that live here. Now listen, not all of them gave all their money. Some of them gave a lot of their money, and some of them gave some of their money. Someone gave most of their money, and then some gave all. But they tried to help bring the whole community up together. So everybody had food. Nobody was homeless. You know, homelessness and hunger could end today. It's not the government's job. You want to end homelessness? Start, instead of buying brand new buildings and Bentleys for your bishops, instead of your brand new cars, all that stuff you buying for these preachers who are exploiting you, who are pimping you. I mean, if your pastor dresses like Pimpin' Percy, all in purple, with purple suede and purple velvet, come on, man. Don't that look like a pimp to you? I mean, you know, let's see. If your pastor looks like a pimp, he probably is. If he's got his hair all done and his nails done and he's got his clothes done and he's got all the gold and he's got the bling and he's got the shoes and everything and he's riding in the car, that's a pimp. How is he your servant if he's dressed way better than you ever will be? How is he your servant if you can't come to his house? How is he your servant if when you need him, you have to make an appointment? How is he your servant when he doesn't even know your name? Or if he doesn't like you because you can't do nothing for him? You want to know why you're mad? The reason you're mad is everything you have tried hasn't worked. And it's never going to work. I'm like Rocky the squirrel and talking to Bullwinkle. That trick never works. Here you go, reaching up your butt to pull that rabbit out again. It's supposed to be a white bunny, not a chocolate bunny. I mean, come on now. If I keep telling you that trick doesn't work, it doesn't work. If somebody keeps telling you that doesn't work, that doesn't make sense. If your family's saying, "Hey, you know, we love you, but the way you act is messed up." When people are telling you what's wrong, fix it. At least they're telling you. I kept thinking I was innocent. I had 2 ex-wives telling me. They were my wives at the time, telling me, "I can't live with you like this. I can't live with you like this." Yeah, I'm like, I'm Wilmar Carter Jr. What you talking about? I am bad. I am bad. I'm like Michael Jackson. I am bad, and I'm good at the same time. I thought I was hitting on something. When my first wife met me, I was skinny. I weighed 178 pounds. Seriously, I was skinny. I looked like I look like Skeletor. I had all this wavy hair and all that stuff. I had nothing going for me, man. I had fasted all that stuff. I gained in working out and exercising. I had fasted all that away because I got saved. I started fasting all the time, trying to be religious, trying to follow God, man. Then I gained all that weight, and when I met my second wife, I was kind of fat. So why was I thinking of myself like that? Why did I think I was God's gift to the world? I used to have a saying that, you know, women are glad God made me and men are glad I wasn't twins. Come on, man. Come on now. I was stuck on myself, man. I thought I was all that. And I spent years in ministry because I know how smart I am. I know that I've done the research. I know the history of the I know the history of the text and what was going on in the scene. I've done the hermeneutics. I know what's going on. And when I hear the pastors preaching about it, I know they don't know what they're talking about. And it's not exegesis. And it's not, you can't even qualify half or 90% of the message to be exegesis. It's just exhortation. They just took a word and made a message about it. And now you are running around slapping high fives with 16 people, and you're running around and turning cartwheels and backflips and all this stuff, and you're going back home. And that scripture he just gave you, he preached to you. You can't even use it on the devil. The devil looks at you like, okay, all right, I'm finna comb your head. You stupid. Now don't get mad at me because I said what the devil says. Because you know some of the stuff we do, the stuff we do in church, the stuff I was doing was stupid. You know you're stupid. You tell yourself that. Now you may not admit it to anybody else, but you tell yourself that. I know. And if you don't tell yourself you're stupid, when then boy, are you stupid. If you don't evaluate yourself. Why are you mad? You're mad because your plan is not working. You haven't submitted to God. I'm going to finish this little thing. So they said, they cried, let's break their fetters. Let us throw off their chains. Well, what is that? These are the Elohim who were judged because of what they did, how they corrupted mankind. And God gave them boundaries. Every time God puts the devil in check, here you go, rebelling against God, doing your own thing. So in Deuteronomy 32, 8 and 9, it tells you what happened. When Yahweh divided the nations, he divided them up according to the numbers of the sons of God. Well, those sons of God were the ones that was there in Genesis. And those sons of God were there when the floods happened. Noah's flood, when it happened, they were there. And they were at the Tower of they're at the Tower of Babel or Baval. It's in Hebrew, it's Bavel. And they were there. And so Yahweh said, you know what? I'm going to give you these people, and you're going to rule over these people. And these are people are supposed to keep the people living righteous and holy lives before Yahweh, and direct the people back to Yahweh. But they made themselves gods over the people, and they required human sacrifices. Let's get into idolatry. I want to talk about this while I'm on this. This segues me into this what idolatry is. Idolatry is this: when you take something and you make it a god so that you don't have to serve the Most High. I want you to marinate on that for a minute. American Christianity is idolatry because you have this white Jesus who lets you get away with doing whatever you want to do, just as long as you say praise the Lord and give your offerings and you bow to him. Now you have cultures that have the black cultures who have the black Jesus. Same thing. You're making God look like you. You're bringing God into your own image. You understand? You're making God like you instead of you becoming like God. You're making Jesus like you instead of you like Jesus. His name is Yeshua. Yeshua means salvation, or Yahweh is salvation. Really, that's literally what it means. Yahweh is salvation. And the reason it's Yahweh and not Yahweh or Yahweh or Yahuwah or Yahuwah or Yahukabah, Yahawashai, Yahuwah, Yahweh is because there's the Yod Hey, Vav Hey. The Hey can't be doubled. So in order you to have a syllable between the Hey and the Vav, the Yahweh is because you can't have a dagesh, you can't double it. It's a guttural sound. Yahweh. Anyway, that's just basically Hebrew grammar. So when you put a vowel in there that doesn't belong, like Yahweh, Yahweh, then you're adding a letter or you're adding something to it, and it changes the meaning of the name. Yahweh means it has a lot of meanings, depends on context. It can mean I am, it can mean I will be, it can mean I exist, it can mean a lot of things, but what it does mean is that in essence, you can't define him and put God in a box and say, this is who God is. That's why he doesn't want an idol made of him, because you are his idol. You're in his image. So that's why you have to live your life like you are him, like he is in you. This is why people make an idol, right? They make this shape so that their God can live inside this shape. They're not worshiping the thing they made. They made this thing so this spirit can live inside this thing, so that this thing can do for them the things they want this thing to do for them. Sounds like the prosperity gospel, doesn't it? Sounds like American Christianity, doesn't it? Why do you think the American Christian church looked the other way through, not just through Jim Crow, but through slavery? And why do you think the American church, even the abolitionists, were racist? When they thought it was okay to own slaves, they thought that the African was subhuman. Why do you think that's so? They still think we're subhuman, right? All your great theologians think we're subhuman. That's why they can support Trump. That's why they can support Biden. You understand, the Democratic Party and the Republican Party is one party. They originally was the Democratic Republican Party. It's an illusion. Think about it now. Do you think, it was a setup for Hillary Clinton to be nominated as the presidential candidate to run against Donald Trump. She didn't say anything. She didn't give us any reason to vote for her, other than I'm not him. What did Kamala Harris, what was her platform? I'm not him. She couldn't say how she was going to correct the mistakes the Biden administration made, because she would have to have criticized the party that nominated her, and they didn't want her to do that. It's almost like the Democratic Party wanted Trump to win twice. Think about that. And what's happening now? Look at all the stuff that's going on. The tariffs and all this other stuff. We're worried about the tariffs, and he's writing all these executive orders. He's writing all these executive orders, which is so many of them. It's hard to fight them all. And soon your rights are going to be taken away as American citizens. All you white folks that love Donald Trump, he's making a precedent for people to come later to use those same rights you gave up to come after black people and immigrants. They're going to use those same laws against you because he's setting a precedent. He's stripping away the power of the Supreme Court, which is what the white supremacists wanted to do, especially after they began to lose all those cases in the 1960s. What do you think they mean by activist judges? They call them activist judges because the judges are stopping them from raping you. They call them activist judges because, you see, if they do it to us, the black folks, they can't just word it like that now. They have to put it in an economic status. So they're coming, in one way they're coming after us, but they're coming after you too. They're going to keep you just as poor and destitute like us. You want to know why the drug epidemic is as bad as it is? You want to know why meth is just destroying your community? It's because you looked the other way when crack was destroying ours. And to all you ethnic groups that have accepted your white privilege, your white status, to all you Christians who identify as white, and all you Christians that have turned your back on us, you have to give an account for that. It's not just about black people. You said we were your brothers, but you want to keep us in bad neighborhoods in bad schools. You say we're your brothers. You don't want to give up your advantage. You don't want to give up your edge. You want to keep us dirty and poor. You want to keep us down. Which is leading me to my next passage. I'm going to the New Testament and I'm going to go to James. And I'm reading this from the Complete Jewish Bible because I have it in the Hebrew Gospels, but I want to read it from the Complete Jewish Bible because I wanted to say something. I wanted to use the concept. James 4:1 says, "What is causing all the quarrels and fights among you? Isn't it your desires battling inside you? You desire things and don't have them. You kill and you are jealous and you still can't get them. So you fight and quarrel. The reason you don't have it is that you don't pray, or you pray and don't receive because you pray with wrong motives. That of wanting to indulge in your own desires, your selfishness, your desire to oppress other people so you won't lose. So you think you have something to lose. So you don't care what they're doing to other people. White folks, black folks, Asians, Middle Eastern people, Africans, no matter where you are on the earth, when are you going to realize that what you're willing to allow to happen to other people is going to happen to you? Verse 4, you unfaithful wives, he calls them adulterers and adulteresses, right? Don't you know that loving the world is hating God? Whoever chooses to be the world's friend makes himself God's enemies. Or do you suppose the scripture speaks in vain when it says there is a spirit in us which longs to envy? See, because the reason you hate all these people because you envy them, right? All these white Christian nationalists, these Hebrew Israelites, all these nationalistic groups, these black nationalists, white nationalists, Hispanics, whatever group you come from, when you have this racial identity, that's wrong because we're all one family. But this is verse 6, but he gives grace, but the grace he gives is greater, which is why he says, God opposes the arrogant, but to the humble he gives grace. So this is the command, and I'm going to stop here, and I'm going to get back to what I'm saying. Therefore, submit to God. Moreover, take a stand against the adversary, and he will flee from you. Come close to God, and he will come close to you. Clean your hands, sinners, and purify your hearts, you double-minded. All right. Let's get to this. So what are you really mad about? You mad because you think somebody's going to get more than you. You mad because you're afraid that brother that's teaching the word, that sister that's teaching the word is going to make you look bad. And the reason you feel bad is because you should feel bad because you're wrong. Now, you're not willing to change it and you're not willing to do anything about it. But what you do want to do is you want to make people believe that I really am serving the Lord. I really am serving God. Oh, yes, I am. Excuse me. I've been fighting a cold. So the thing is that what you're really upset about is you don't want to do the right thing. You want to do the easy thing. You want to take the softer, easier way. By the way, hit the like button, hit subscribe, hit share, put some comments in the comment section. Anything you can do to help promote this podcast will be helpful to me. Again, I'm not asking you're not going to see me put my Cash App up here. I need money, but you're not going to see me put Cash App up here because if I'm going to preach the word, God's going to supply. You understand? Now, those of you who know me, he can call me on the phone. You used to call me on your cell phone. You know my number. Call me. See what you can do to help out. But, other than that, on Facebook, you can hit stars. You can hit stars, and that helps me out too. But if you want to help out. But I'm not going to put my Cash App up here, not because I think somebody's going to steal my money, but because my motivation is to get this message to you. That's it. I'm not trying to get do I want to go viral? Oh, that'd be great. But once I go viral, I got to maintain that. You see what I'm saying? So if I go viral uh, coming to doing a show about what's wrong with Bishop Boo Boo, I got to talk about Bishop Boo Boo for the rest of my life because that's what y'all care about. The negative thing I said about Prophet Pookie, you know, you know what? I don't want to do all that. I don't want to chase after clicks and likes. I just want to preach the word. I mean, why am I not? Why do I not have a church building? Um, Support. Why am I not meeting in a community center somewhere? Support. If I had the physical body supporting me, um, I would sit in the community center and we would be sitting at tables. We would be comparing the scriptures together, talking about the word together. I won't be up preaching the message like I used to preach back in the day. It would be a teaching session. I would probably do it 2 or 3 times a week if I was going to pastor a church again. What I would rather do if I was really going to pastor a church again is meet in people's homes. We'd sit down in somebody's house, and whoever's house we would be at, we would raise an offering for that house, and we would leave an offering there. We would bring some food. And by the way, I'm a chef. I can cook. I can burn. I cook so good I would marry me. So, hey. But that's what I would do because that's how I see the church. We've gotten away from that. It became the Pastor Pookie show because of pastors and bishops and prophets and all these guys from years ago. The Catholic Church did that, and the Protestants didn't change from it. So you don't have pastors and elders and evangelists and teachers sharing the word. You don't have the apostle coming in and establishing the church. By the way, the apostle is a missionary, just in case you want to know. He's not the one with the flashy clothes and the big gold cross with a new dude. That's a pimp. An apostle is a missionary. He goes into a place where no one's gone and starts a new ministry there, reaches new souls. He's a soul winner. An apostle is a soul winner, not a preacher not a preacher with a pocketbook and purple clothes and a gold chain and wavy hair and a brand new car and a beautiful building and he can sing and play the piano. That's not it. That's a pimp. That's Little Richard. I mean, come on, can y'all see how we getting played? You got these people calling themselves bishops and apostles and all this stuff. They look like Little Richard in his heyday. Woo! You keep knocking, but you can't come in. Come on now. Isn't it no wonder that the world looks at us and thinks we're crazy? Looking like Morris Day from Purple Rain. Come on now. Now I love Morris Day. Don't get me wrong. I love Morris Day. Morris Day is a talented musician and singer, and they got a great show. But I'm just saying, I'm going by that look that they had in the '80s. You know what I'm saying? That's all I'm going for. That's what I'm talking about. So please don't think I'm saying something bad about Morris Day because I don't even know Morris. I never met Morris Day a day in my life. So my point really is this. Everybody's showing you how you're getting pimped, but you keep going back to the pimp. And you keep wanting Pimpin' Percy to change. But Pimpin' Percy is Pastor Percy now. Prophet Percy. And he's got a better game. I remember coming up in the 90s and in the early 2000s, going from church to church. Amway was real popular in the church. All the multi-level marketing scams were going on in the churches. Christians were going to the multi-level marketing meetings in churches, and pastors and preachers was behind it. Come on now, pay attention. Why do you think they was doing that? They care about your money. All they care about is the money. They were letting people come in and take money from you, and you never got anywhere. You made a little money for a little while, but then it fell off. Why? Because they're greedy. They're selfish. They don't meet the qualifications of a bishop. They don't meet the qualifications of a deacon or elder. They don't meet the qualifications of a caretaker of the church. That's the mother board, that's the elder board, that's the deacon board. You name it. None of them meet it because they don't live the life that the Bible says they're supposed to live. They don't even have 9 out of 10. Maybe 50-50 if you give or take a few things. If you cover this eye up and put a patch on this one, maybe they close. But not really. You kind of know, right? The reason you're mad, the reason that everybody's upset, everybody's trying to find something and somewhere to go is because we know this is wrong. It's not supposed to be this way. It's supposed to be different. You understand? It's supposed to be different. Why is it not working? Why are my kids messed up? Why are my grandkids messed up? Why is the world messed up? The world is messed up because we won't do right. It's not just the white church or the black church. It's not just America. It's everywhere there's a church. We want God on our terms. We don't want to give in to him. And all he keeps asking me every day is, do you believe me? And I say, yes. And he says, stand still. He knows what I need. He'll make a way. He knows what I'm going through right now. He'll make a way. It's not what I want. There's some family members and loved ones that I know that are going through some stuff, and I want to help them so bad. But, what can you do? If they don't want to receive instruction and wisdom and guidance, what can I do? I can't make people take it. I've already been through it. I've already done it, been there, done that. It's not that I'm so smart, is that I made the mistake. I can show you how to correct it because I corrected it in my life. And see, there are men who go to church and belong, who are in churches, but they don't get a chance to be heard because the beautiful people are the ones that run in the church, and the beautiful people are the biggest sinners in the church. I'm not taking it back. So I see a lot of posts on Facebook and Instagram and YouTube and on all the forms of social media. I see a lot of posts, and it's always about what other people are doing. And you're right. They shouldn't be doing that to you. You have a choice, a few choices. 1, quit messing with them. 2, try to work it out with them. Go to that person in the spirit of meekness and in love and try to work it out. And then when they won't hear you, then go get a mediator, 2 witnesses, 2 mediators. One, he brings a friend, you bring a friend, and you work it out. And if that doesn't work, you bring it before the body, the fellowship, and let the fellowship figure it out. And if they won't listen to the fellowship, see, didn't say nothing about bring it to Pastor Pookie. Jesus didn't say nothing about Bishop Boo Boo, Apostle Applebutt. He didn't say bring it before the pastor, the bishop, or the apostle. He didn't say all that. He said bring it before the ecclesia, the believers. Let the church decide. That's what Paul said in 1 Corinthians. He said, well, you can't desire this. You guys can't figure this out among yourselves. So this is why you don't have to do what we've been doing, the popularity contest. If the whole church gets to hear the matter, the dispute between 2 people, Now both parties can be counseled, because some folks are going to see her side, and some folks are going to see his side, and some folks are going to see both sides, and they're going to see the right and the wrong in both sides and say, hey, you know what? Y'all need to do this. And see, this is what how you keep disputes down. If you know that you have a dispute with your husband, you have a dispute with your wife, and that if you can't resolve it and you go to counseling, you can't resolve it in counseling, then the church is going to know about it. Chances are you're going to stop acting stupid. But as long as you got secrets and you can do that narcissistic stuff behind your wife's back, behind your husband's back, and behind your pastor's back, and elder boo and elders, elder egghead, you know, I mean, see, we can do all this backstabbing because there's nobody to monitor it and stop it. The church doesn't get to hear all the sides involved. All they hear is gossip and rumors. So nothing ever gets done. And the madness continues generation after generation after generation. It's not a generational curse. It's a generational sin. It keeps getting passed down from generation to generation, generation to generation. We keep running the men out of the house. We keep putting a whole lot of pressure on women that they're not meant to carry. We're up here talking about the women like they're dirty dogs. But let's just be real, okay? It's hard as a couple to raise children in a household, in a family, especially a Black family. You got the white society looking at that man like he's public enemy number one, and they do everything they can to keep him from being the best he can be. That's just the world outside of the household. It happens on his job. It happens at church. I'm calling church folk out, y'all hypocrites. It happens at church because all they know is the gospel. They don't know the truth. So they have an opinion. It's a popularity contest, who we like and who we don't like. Everywhere he goes, he's the worst human being that ever lived. And he's supposed to want to stay in that house with you while you're fighting against him, while he's trying to provide for his family and protect his family, and you want him to be faithful to you. When there's a single sister over here that's going, he's fine. She's crazy. I ain't never gonna do that to him. So now you mad because that this lady over here saw in him what you used to see in him, but now you mad because you had some babies, you had some postpartum depression. That's something men gotta have to be aware of. You got postpartum depression. Ain't nobody, you're not seeing a doctor, you're not seeing a therapist, you're not talking to nobody about it, you're not getting counseling. You had a baby, and now your hormones and your emotions and everything's out of control, and you're fighting with your husband, and your husband's fighting with you because what you don't know is that you're fighting depression. So y'all don't want me to get saved. Y'all don't want me to get saved because I'm gonna tell you the truth. See, the truth is this: 99.99, I can go on, of the people in church are depressed. They're suffering from some kind of depression. They're faking it. They got money, they got clothes, they got cars, but they're not really dealing with the problem. The money and all that stuff, that's a distraction. But they got a problem that they're not dealing with. And you can say it's a sin problem. Whatever. The sin is a symptom of something deeper. Write that down. The sin is a symptom of something deeper that is wrong. It's the sin is like the open wound or the scab. I can see that, but there's something deep inside that wound that's infected, and it's causing this reaction. The scab is infected, and it's pussy and it's bloody and it's all this stuff, and the wound is not healing because something inside in the wound hasn't been dealt with yet. It's a shift. It's a shift. I can't do anything about it. I gotta go here. It's a shift because you need to hear this. There's something inside of you that's been wounded and hurt, and you never dealt with it. And it's pussy, and it's bloody, and it's painful, and it hurts even to this day for you to think about it. You think about it, and you cry because you hurt. It hurt. It hurt. It hurt. It hurt. And I'm sorry, but it's supposed to hurt because it's a wound. Somebody cut you and wounded you. Somebody hurt you and wounded you. They broke some bones. They broke the skin. They got deep into the flesh, into your soul, into your spirit, and they hurt you, and you're hurting. And you've been playing church. You've been running around from place to place trying to get somebody to hear you, which is why you believe all these false doctrines and all these false teachings. It's why you act the way you act. This is why you can't treat your wife right. It's why you can't treat your husband right. It's why you can't. It's why you, pastors, is why you can't treat your people right. You do not want to deal with the sickness, the disease. You just want to put a purple Band-Aid on it and pray, praise the Lord, I'm healed. No, you're not. You're not healed. You're not delivered. You're still lying. You're still sneaking and doing that thing on the side you ain't supposed to be doing. You're still cheating. You're still sneaking and smoking. You're drinking, and you're still doing that sin. You still got that boyfriend, that girlfriend. You still got that person on the side, and that person that's in your life, your main squeeze. It ain't supposed to be your main squeeze. I saw something on the internet. I don't know who it was, but then it's like it was somebody doing a praise break. What? So we're doing some ungodly stuff in the church, and we're celebrating this ungodly stuff. And you can't get mad at the liberals. You can't get mad at the progressives. You can't get mad at the conservatives. You can't get mad at the political parties. You can't get mad at these cultural wars because they exist for a reason. Because they exist because we don't want to do right. You know what? I'm going to say something there. If white people who say they're Christians would obey the Bible and live right and do right, there'd be no division in our country. If black people who say they believe the Bible were willing to follow the Bible and live right and do right, there'd be no division in our country. There'd be no more homelessness. The crime would decrease almost to nothing. Families would stay together. Fathers would raise their children. The churches would pay for our children's education. You wouldn't have to worry about government loans for your kids to go to college. Churches would have their own colleges. You'd have entrepreneurs and business owners. You'd own property. You'd have your own community. But we can't live together in peace because we don't want to let go of what we've been taught, how we've been raised. So you have your beliefs about white people, and your beliefs about black people, your beliefs about Mexicans and Puerto Ricans and Jews and these people and those people, Muslims and Arabic people and Palestinians and Africans. We got all these opinions about people, but we won't even sit down and talk to them and find out who they are, where they're coming from, why do they think the way they think, what's their culture like. How can you tell me how an African thinks if you've never been to Africa? How can you tell me how a Palestinian thinks if you've never been to Palestine? How can you tell me how an Arab thinks if you've never been to Arabia? How can you tell me how a Brazilian thinks if you've never been to Brazil? Or how a Colombian thinks if you've never been to Colombia? How can you tell me about Russia or about Germany or about the Ukraine or about China or about Japan if you've never been there and you don't know anybody from there? Because you have prejudices that have been passed down from generation to generation and generation. It's toxic, it's a poison, and it's killing us. We're sending our sons into the military to go fight in foreign countries that are not a threat to America. I'm going to tell you one more time. They're not a threat to America. On September 11, 2001, there were planes that crashed into the World Trade Center, one into the Pentagon, and one crashed in Pennsylvania. It was headed for the White House. Almost all of those people on those planes, this was like 20 some odd people, only a handful were not from Arabia. They're Arabs. But we bombed Afghanistan and Iraq. But they were from Arabia. We thought it was over oil, and it's not. They were pissed off because we put Air Force bases in Arabia in the first Gulf War. They felt like we desecrated their land. They didn't want our presence there, but we did it anyway. America has military bases all over the world in places where we're not wanted. And the reason we have military bases in those countries where we're not wanted is because we have corporations there that are doing business there. And the corporations are corrupt and they do corrupt things. And if the people act a fool, we have a military base or we have a consulate there. And the people can run there, and the American citizen can run there for safety because you got Marines and Army and people there to protect the people. The embassy. So people can run to this citadel and become safe. But they committed crimes in those people's land. And they committed those crimes against those people. Those people are pissed about it. That's why nobody likes us. We do stuff in other people's countries that if they did it to us, we would bomb them. And when they retaliate, we make them out to be the villains. America is the biggest narcissist in the world. We do dirt to people all over the world. And when the world retaliates, oh, we're the victim. White people and black people, Latino people, Asian people, people from every culture do the same thing. Somehow we're the victim. And listen, 85% of the white women who are killed in America are killed by white people. 85% of the black people in America are killed by black people. 85, you go to all culture groups and it's almost literally the same. Some more, a lot more. Some a little bit less, but not much. But we all hate each other. We all hate each other. It's a design. If you can be given white status and you know you're not white, but you can call yourself white and be given white status, that means it can be taken away, right? What would you do if they took it away? And if they put you back in the same lump with us? It's coming. It's going to happen real soon before this decade is out. You're not going to be white no more. You're going to be Italian. You're going to be Irish. You're going to be Spanish. When they no longer need you, they're going to kick you to the curb. You're going to be from India. You're going to be an immigrant again. You're going to be less than them. When they no longer need you, they're going to discard you like a dirty diaper. And that's how you're going to feel, because you are willing to defile yourselves for this status. It's another switch, another switch. I can't do nothing about it. You're selling yourself to the devil. You're selling yourself to a devil that his only motivation is to destroy you. So he's going to indoctrinate you with all kinds of wrong beliefs. That's why these people are jumping on this Hebrew roots thing. And they don't know they don't know. This is how I do my study. I trace the historical documents that go all the way back to the beginning. I follow that evidence. I don't follow this internet stuff, this YouTube videos and all this stuff, because these people have learned how to fake documents. So you got to learn where to look. And there are a lot of urban apologists on YouTube and on Facebook that I follow. Dr. Eric Mason, BK apologists in Detroit, to name a few. What is an apologist? An apologist is someone who can defend the faith articulately and provide evidence for what he's saying, that what he's saying is true. There's all kinds of people that could come on here and tell you that the Book of Enoch was banned from the Bible. It was not banned from the Bible. The Ethiopian Bible was banned. It was not banned. The Apocrypha was not banned. The Pseudepigrapha was not banned. They were not considered equal to Torah by when you talk about the Old Testament. Let's go to the Old Testament. In the 2nd century, maybe early 3rd century BC, before Christ, they had already determined Hebrew canon. But by the time the 1st century comes along, the Book of Enoch was not included and it was not considered canon by the Hebrews. Since y'all want to argue we are the original Jews, we're the original Hebrew, well, our people decided that didn't belong in the same Tanakh as the Torah and the prophets and the sacred writings. It was an extra biblical book. It wasn't that it wasn't considered valid. It made some good points. But it was not considered Hebrew canon. And the same for First Ezra and all these other writings. Some of those writings were Aramaic writings, or they were in the Targums. They were kind of the equivalent to Ezra. And that's why the name sounds so close. Some of the ones we have found on the internet, we quote from, may be forgeries. So some of these pseudepigraphical books that you're reading may be forgeries. When you trace that source back, you almost, in some cases, you can't find a version of that written in the Latin or Greek it would have been written in, or in the Aramaic it would have been written in. One of the reasons that most of the things in the Old Testament that were not considered canon also starts from the basic premise that it wasn't written in Hebrew first. It was Aramaic, so it wasn't canon. And it didn't agree with Torah. It contradicted Torah. That's why Jasher was not considered canon. It exaggerated a lot of things. Jubilees are not considered canon. It was a commentary. Jasher is a commentary. It's not an authentic, authoritative biblical book. It's a commentary. And those of us who are deceived by that, they think of everything literal because the spirits that speak to their minds have convinced them that they've discovered a mystery. And, you got to listen to me. God showed me a mystery. No, that's not God. That's the devil. Why are the heathens upset? Why are these people all upset? Why do you have Ray Hagen and why do you have these other guys that don't even believe the gospel? I said I'm not going to mention names. I shouldn't have done that. Why do you have these false teachers? Because they don't believe the Bible. It means they have to change and they don't want to. It means they have to give up their sin, and they don't want to. All the people that are telling you the King James is made up, they don't know what they're talking about. But they're telling you that because they got sin in their life and they want to keep their sin. They don't want to, they would rather have their sin than to have God. I like my sin, I don't want to give it up. So I'm gonna say God's not real. Okay. And you know what usually happens? Life starts happening to those people, and then one day they call on God. Some of them give their life to God, and some of them they don't get anywhere. They die a really they die and they go to wherever they go. Because even our concept of heaven and hell is not right. The Hebrews don't think of it like we do. It's contrived and it's invented. In the Hebrew culture, the place of the dead is where the dead spirits go. What we would call heaven, the kingdom of heaven, is paradise, where those who really live the life go. But they don't believe that everybody goes there. So the promise that everyone who's a believer in Mashiach or Messiah goes there means that we're given a new kind of righteousness. This is why the gospel is so important. Because just by the grace of Yahweh alone, through Yeshua Mashiach, with the help of Ruach HaKodesh, you can actually make it into to live in a sacred, holy place with Yahweh forever. But you have to give up this life first. You have to give up everything that you think you know. You have to delete all your files. You have to hit hard reset every day, 10, 15 times a day for the rest of your life. Because there are layers to the Most High you can't comprehend. You have to understand his intelligence can't be matched. Look at the design of this universe. There's more than one. But look at how this universe is designed. Look at what the James Webb Telescope is able to show you about how this universe is designed. They went back 15 billion years to the Big Bang and they found it. But the universe is older than the Big Bang. Explain that. You know why you can't explain it? It's because you don't know Torah. You don't know the Bible. You think you do, but you don't. And the reason you don't is because of the way it's been translated. I don't want to go into Genesis 1. But trust me, in Hebrew, it means something completely different. In Bereshit, Genesis 1, in the Hebrew, this whole universe is timeless. He didn't create the universe on day one, like we said. It's complicated, but there's a lot more to it. And by understanding the Torah, the way it was written, what the ancient Hebrews would have understood and believed, if you would have understood it through their eyes and through their experiences, you would find out how short-sighted and how ignorant we are today. We have limited God to our own belief system. And if we get challenged in our belief system, then we just say it's not God. The problem is this. If you don't believe that Yahweh is God, that's fine, don't. But if you do believe that he's God, then you got to change your life. You got to change your lifestyle. You cannot continue to be the same. Everyone who came to God because they believed in him and they trusted him and they gave their life to him and their life changed. David went from being a shepherd to a king. Moshe was a shepherd. Yahweh sent him back to Mitzrayim, Egypt. He said, go free your people. I don't want to go down there. They're looking for me. It's 40 years ago, man. That man's dead. They're not even going to remember you. Just go back. Then Moshe still didn't want to go. He had a good life. His father-in-law was the shepherd, and they were about the same age. He's 80-some years old. I'm 80 years old, man. I'm not gonna go back to. You should have did this when I was 40. You wasn't ready yet. There's a message in that. But everything Yahweh said he's going to do for Moses, he did. He was 80. And here he is walking back, going back to Egypt. And who does he run into? His brother. Now, his brother didn't know where he was, but they seemed to cross paths. How did that happen? He had to go home and tell Yitro, his father-in-law, I got to go back to Egypt. And he's going to say, yeah, I know, go ahead. And he took his wife and his sons. And Moshe wasn't going to circumcise his sons, and Yahweh was going to get him for that. And his wife said, okay, I'm going to do it. She was mad. I'm going to tell you why. He probably wanted to circumcise his sons, but she wouldn't let him until she saw that Yahweh was so serious he was going to kill Moses for it. And then she finally obeyed, and she called him a bloody man when it was probably her fault. She was blaming him for her sin, her disobedience, because she didn't trust him. That's free. So Moses is on his way back, and somehow, by happenstance, he happens to run into his brother Aaron, who's way older than him. If Moses is 80, Aaron is kicking 90 in the butt. And Miriam, she's definitely over 90. You see what I'm saying? His life changed. But not only did his life change, but his brother's life changed and his sister's life changed. They were old. They should have been ready to die. But Yahweh gave them a longer life. He extended their life because of Moshe's obedience, Moshe's trust. Moshe trusted him enough to go, all right, I'm in this. I'm committed 100%. Because of that, their life got extended. Your trust in Yahweh can extend the life of your loved ones, but you got to trust him. But if you keep doing it your way, nobody's going to get saved. You can't save nobody because your life's tore up from the floor up. If everything you've been doing hasn't worked, why are you still doing it? Why are you listening to the people that are telling you what you want to hear when it never works? Hey, Rocky, watch me pull a rabbit out my butt. Again. Nothing up my sleeve. Presto! It's not supposed to be that color, Bullwinkle. And that's not a rabbit. That's how you look to people. And that's why they don't believe you. If you look in the description, you see I put the link for 12steppers.org. It's not just for addicts. It's for people who are struggling with any form of addiction or mental disorder, mental health condition, any kind of distress or anxiety or fear. If there's something clearly wrong. And who's going to know if you click on the link and you get help? Who's going to know that you went out and got help? I'm not going to tell because I'm not even going to know. I'm not getting paid for that link. It's just, it helped me. If you could click on betterhelp.com, you can get hooked up with the psychologist who can help you navigate through this stuff and get some advice and some direction. It's up to you. You don't got to do anything. You can do whatever you want to do. But if you want your life to change, it starts with you. The reason you're mad is because you keep trying to do the same thing over and over again. This never works. It's time to try something new. It's time to swallow your pride and just give up. Stop pretending. Nobody's fool. They know you're crazy. And yeah, they're talking about it. They wonder when you're going to really realize you ain't got to do all that stuff. We love you anyway, and we're here for you and when you're ready to change. What's it going to hurt? I made the change, and now, my kids are coming around now. They say they can see the change. The people that spend time around me, they can see that there's a difference. And it's not performative. I was always trying to perform. They can see the difference. Not because I did anything, but because I quit struggling. I quit fighting. I was fighting like I was drowning, and here I was in knee deep water. All I had to do was just stand up. I'm fighting people, places, and things because I wasn't getting the results I wanted. And all I needed to do was stop fighting, quit splashing around, and just stand up. That's really the best I got. I'm not anybody special. I'm not smart. I'm not stupid, but I'm not smart. I'm just trying to learn. And when I learn the truth, I try to share it with you guys. That's what it's about. Nothing else. Why is everybody mad? Because they want their God to win, and their God isn't the Most High. And their God knows that in the end, he's going to lose, but he's going to take them out with him. I need you to wrap your head around that. That spirit, that voice in your head, the noise in your head is going to lead you to your own destruction. And you're trying to convince yourself you're right when you know you're wrong. People want to be right, but they don't want to be corrected. But Solomon says the fool despises being corrected, while the wise man loves it. I'd rather be corrected. I'd rather you show me my mistake. Where you pat me on the back and tell me, praise the Lord, you showed up following God. Because that's how I stayed sick so long. I listened to people that benefited from me being ignorant. I'm not going to be ignorant no more. I'm going to study to show myself approved. I'm going to meet the mandate. I'm going to get the education I should have got 40 years ago. I'm determined to do that. I'm going to become a certified peer support specialist, and when I can afford to go, and I'm going to become fluent in my education in the Hebrew language, but I'm also looking at some other courses. And the reason I'm doing this is because I want to be able to show you what the word says and what it means. I'm going to be working on a book about Yahwism in the modern church, a book on spiritual warfare, a book on the 12 steps, how your heart is your garden. I got a few things I got to work on. I got to write. But right now, I'm just trying to find a way to get the message out, to help people right now. But these are things I got to get done so that I can have a stream of income, some money coming in. But also how I can get the message out so people can get their lives turned around. Not sure what Yahweh wants me to work on, but I got a lot of stuff that I need to put my heart to. I love you guys. I don't know all of you. Most of you I never met before. But if you're breathing, if you're inhaling and exhaling, I love you. I'm your servant. I'm here. Please, please share this with other people. Please love each other. Please be good to each other. The way you treat other people is the way you're treating God. That human being that you hate is created in the image of God. So if you hate them, you hate God. Just that simple. So anyway, may God's grace and peace and His love keep you until I come on again. And if you never see me again, I still pray for God's blessings on your life. Have a great day. Be blessed.